Welcome to the Pennsylvania Counsel Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome into an all-new episode of the Pennsylvania Counsel Podcast with attorney James Creenan, the founder over at Creenan and Baskowski Law. I'm your host, Mike Leon. Jim over here represents business owners and professionals and contractors across Western Pennsylvania in matters ranging from contracts and construction disputes to succession and estate planning. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how a Pennsylvania business evolves from its first handshake deal to the moment it faces its first serious legal challenge. Jim, it's good to see you. Before we even actually dive into the business law aspect of this, can you share a little bit about your background to the audience, how your career led you to advising these companies out in PA?
Sure, Mike. Thanks for having me, by the way. Really a pleasure to be on this podcast. I'd like to share a little bit about my background, and that involves about 10 years of litigation experience representing contractors and others in the construction trades as they had disputes. As you might imagine, the construction trades has one of the largest percentages of legal disputes based upon whether it's non-payment or delays or personal injury matters that could occur. So after I worked with a lot of contractors and others in the field, I found it would be most beneficial if I would advise them at all phases of their project cycle, not just the lawsuit. So that's how I got started, and that's really what prompted me to start Creenan and Baskowski with my partner Walter, who's since passed away. But Walter Baskowski and I have represented businesses in our communities for many years, and for the last 16 years, we've worked together under that name.
Well, it's great to hear about your background. And let me ask you then, let's get into the law that you practice. So, if someone first starts a business, what are some of the most important legal decisions that they need to make early on to make sure that they've set everything up correctly?
Excellent question. The first thing we always recommend our clients do is really think about, the product or service that they will be providing, how that will then be monetized, or how they will charge, and how they can envision what the life cycle of the business would be. By giving some thought to those elements, what we find is that the business owner will have a better understanding. If we have one person who's planning to form the business, it makes things a little bit easier. But when we have two people, that's when we really need to represent the company and make sure that the two people are of a single mind. And at least when we put together an operating agreement for a limited liability company with more than one owner, we want to make sure that both sides understand and have the opportunity either to talk to each other or to work with their own separate counsel. But what we do is ensure that the operating agreement is in place in a way that is going to help avoid disputes and solve problems before they even get started with the business.
And Jim, as a company starts growing now, right? They've started, whether it be that LLC, they've got the operating agreement. Now they start growing, they start hiring employees, they sign leases, they take on bigger projects. What kind of legal issues start to surface from them that probably weren't there at the beginning of the start of that business?
Exactly. And I think you've hit on the two biggest things that will cause the need for legal services if someone has overlooked that in the formation stages. We would hope that the client would have a business plan so they understand when they plan to hire and how many they might hire, or how they plan to get the work done, either through vendor relationships or independent contractors. Those contracts are critical to make sure that the product and the service meets the customer demand, and so that the customer will basically, we've got to make sure that our clients get paid. In the end, the real estate situation is different for each company, and from the starting point, there might be temporary space where the clients are concerned with deals that focus on short-term rentals, and ultimately clients wish to own and many times will operate out of an owned facility that is an affiliate of the company. So those are the key legal things that will pop up when the client starts to see a business activity and starts to see the product of their efforts.
Jim, let me ask you, you've represented so many different people, contractors and government agencies. What usually causes these business relationships? You gave a little inclination there, but what usually causes them to fall apart and kind of end up in a dispute?
I think a lack of clarity is the most common reason, or a misunderstanding between two people, whether that's between two people that want to form the business, or a vendor and the client. What we want to do in any opportunity that we have is to help understand first what the client wants and needs, and then try to document that in the best possible way, so that the other side, whether it be an employee, a vendor, a landlord, someone who is involved in the client's process and business, that they will have an understanding that is common, so that the deliverables are set forth with clarity, the products are specified correctly, and the timing of performance is outlined. So those are a few things that we always look at, but we have a long list of things we check anytime that we're helping any client with a contract review or contract drafting.
And Jim, how does Pennsylvania law kind of interact and shape those disputes? Is there anything unique about contracts and litigation work there compared to other states?
There can be, and there always are local ordinances. There are local state laws that will vary among the 50 states. And then, of course, we need to consider what the federal laws might be that would apply to those situations. So in terms, considering where our clients operate, considering where our clients do business, we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to set the rules. And one way to do that would be to set a choice of venue clause and to a choice of law clause that would identify what law would apply if there is a dispute, and where that dispute would be decided, whether that be in the court or somewhere else.
And Jim, it funnels into a follow up beautifully because I'm sure businesses don't want to end up in that courtroom. So, what practical steps along the way help make a difference in preventing those conflicts before they escalate?
Yeah, good idea for a business owner is to think about what could go wrong and then start to plan around that. So identifying in a contract whether the other side, or whether our client would need to identify and give notice of a potential problem, give notice of potential default before there is a lawsuit, and then build in some mechanisms that will help solve that problem. I mentioned alternative dispute resolution, but this, sort of a pre-claim notification is a way for the parties to be required to talk to each other and to try to work out the detail. A mediation clause is something that sometimes will, depending upon the circumstances, would be appropriate to ensure that the parties engage the services of a neutral mediator who can help them solve and eliminate the problem through negotiation. There's other techniques, but what we want to do is equip the client with those tools that will be helpful to eliminate or avoid the need for the type of litigation that causes people to stay awake at night.
Speaking of staying awake at night, so now a lawsuit is about to happen. It's getting filed against that business owner. What should that business owner do, or at least expect from the process, from the first filing through the resolution, so that way they're not awake at night?
A lawsuit can cause substantial damage to a business's reputation, cash flow, and general operations. What we'd like to do is give some thought to the mechanisms, but also with over 25 years of litigation experience, one of my advantages is helping the client to understand what that process will entail, and then to begin a strategy that may involve negotiation, or sometimes it's just simply necessary to bring litigation so that the parties are in the right position and that they have the right tools at their disposal to come to a solution without there being a substantial, lengthy, and drawn out process. Some of the courts here have very effective alternative dispute resolution programs, and coupled with the contractual obligations that the parties might otherwise have, we'd also rely upon just the good common sense and provide common judgment to the client as to what would be the best path forward.
Jim, as we wrap here on this episode, a business owner out there, they're listening, they want to keep their company healthy long term. What is the best way for them to build an ongoing relationship with counsel instead of only calling them when there's trouble?
We have several clients who, from the outset, from for over 16 years now, have decided that they wanted to be able to pick up the phone and talk to us at any time without fearing a bill for every 6 minutes increments, as many law firms do. And while we do have hourly billing, our model subscription would allow, based upon the client's needs and industry and employees and general operational needs, we can set a flat rate so that there's a monthly style or a monthly subscription that helps the client understand what their costs will be over the course of a year. Some months we don't have substantial involvement with clients, but we do have built into that regular meetings that would allow for us to identify issues and to help them understand how to improve their operations. And that goes a long way to add value to the client relationship that we have. And what we like to do is help our clients succeed. That's why we're here. We want them to do well so that they do well in our community. And we are certainly, our mission is to help our clients succeed.
Jim, thanks for the time today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to the next episode.
And that's it for today's episode of the Pennsylvania Counsel podcast. If you want to learn more about Jim or the team over at Creenan and Baskowski, visit cbattorneys.com. Thank you to everybody out there for listening to this episode. But don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review and comment, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.